Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to my presentation. I'm Do Kyung-tae and I am an AI engineer. Today I'm going to tell you with this title, DUET, how to make an AI reservation via telephony. Before we get started, I know somebody is confusing about the name of DUET and AI Core. So I introduce this. DUET is a project name, and AI Core is a product name. Now, let's watch the video clip before we get started.
「忙しいお店のために AI サービスにできることは何でしょうか」「ご予約のお電話はお客様とお店が初めて出会うところでもあります」「ただ時々あまりにも忙しく心を込めた応対ができないこともあります」「LINE ブレインはお店で働く皆様のために考えました」「忙しさの中での電話応対に対して私たちはどうお役に立てるのか」
すいません、来週予約したいんですけど。
少々お待ちください。来週の予約ですね。確認させていただきます。
コースのメニューとかもありますか？
そうですね。
お店での電話応対をお手伝いする AI 電話応対デュエットを紹介します。
電話ありがとうございます。ビルズ銀座ともみが承ります。
もしもし、予約したいんですけど、土曜日の2時から4名で席は空いてますか？
申し訳ありません。2時は満席です。3時でしたらご予約をお受けできますが、いかがでしょうか？
じゃあそれで大丈夫です。メニューなんですけど、何かおすすめはありますか？
はい、ビルズクラシックメニューのアボカドトーストや季節の新メニューもございます。
席は窓側でお願いできたりしますか？
はい、窓側のお席をご用意いたします。他には何かございますか？
いいえ、大丈夫です。
それでは今週の土曜日午後3時から4名様でお待ちしております。土曜日は雨だそうです。お気をつけてお越しください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
失礼いたします。
デュエットはお客様からの予約を受けたまわり、お客様のニーズを伺い、難しいメニューの問い合わせにも対応いたします。お客様からのお電話に対応し、ご予約とお問い合わせを承る AI 電話応対デュエットがお店で働く皆様を応援します。
Yeah. So how was the video clip? So many people asked me if it is possible or not. I would like to start with why we started this project. When I started this project, also many people asked me something like this. Does anyone call the restaurant to make a reservation these days? How do you think? Yeah. There is a mobile phone and the web, and we have IVR system already. So many people asked. So I'm asking you another question. Which device do people use when making reservations? Yes. How do you think? 65% versus 35%. I think maybe you really think 35% still people can make a reservation. People are making a reservation these days, right? But it's not true. 65% still make a reservation by phone. Yes. Always guesses and assumptions are not the reality, not the same as reality. That's why we need to meet user. When you are going to another domain, you should take a different approach. Data is very important when you are into this kind of another domain. It's line and Naver is good at. So, before development began, we just called so many times. And we found 3 big ideas from it. First, people are not good at answering phones. Yes. People also are not good at answering phones is the first. Human error is a factor in telephony, and the clerk and part-timers are not well trained for answering calls. So we have a conclusion for that. We are not aiming for the sky. And the restaurant wants to cut costs on answering calls. Second was having a conversation over the phone with an AI is nothing like interacting with an AI speaker. And think about you are using an AI speaker in the house. Maybe we are calling it just a command and control pattern. If you want to listen music, we are just saying like that, right? Clover, play songs of BTS, something like that, and maybe Clover answers, yes, play the music, something like that, and play the music. Sorry. But phone call is quite different from that. We call it build-up pattern. When you are calling to the restaurant, just call start. Maybe you are saying hello, and the clerk says, hello, this is a restaurant, something restaurant speaking. Or can I help you? May I help you? Something like that, right? And maybe you are questioning about that. I would like to make a reservation, or how can I go there, or something like that. And restaurant answers for that, right? We call it builder. It's quite different from speaker. Finally, we found that having a conversation over the phone with an AI is nothing like interacting with also chatbot. Yeah. Yes. Chatbot has a visual display. It is a very different point. You can see the entire conversation, right? But on the phone, user cannot remember everything. He forgot something when in the conversation. It's quite different point of that. And chatbot use multimodal interface, and phone call can use voice only. So, I'm going to talk about conversational UX before we talk about technology things. Let's listen to our team UX designer.
As AI technology is developing rapidly, interaction between human and voice agent becomes more natural. In this context, conversational UX design is being more important. We need to focus on not just one or two turn taking between human and agent, but also on whole conversation space. Designing this conversation space, I think we can call it conversational UX design. AI call is designed and developed for telephone communication. From designing voice persona of agent to building conversation framework, we are really focusing on phone call situation. Providing more natural conversation experience to users is our goal.
Yes. I'm talking to with this title. Yes, and this is about conversational space. We understand the whole conversation as a space, This graph shows a typical pattern of phone call. Maybe you can easily understand the opening, hi and moshi, and answers, may I help you, something like that. It's opening. And then you are entering the body. After finishing your subject, we are say goodbye, and we call it closing. So conversation consists of opening, body, and closing, right? And from the opening to the closing, we call it just as a time space. So you are in phone call situation, no wake word context. Wake word means something like that. When you are using the AI speaker, de kloba, hey kloba, something like that, is a wake word for that. But on the phone, we are not using wake word. Just we call start. There's no wake word. Just starts conversation. And the agent always says first. But the AI speaker is you command and that responds, right? It's quite different point. And user usually start conversations with a capability check. It means that do you have any baby chair, something like that? Just ask to the restaurant. And needs to detect pre-closing signals. Yeah. Pre-closing signal is a very interesting thing when I built this project because something like that. Everybody knows closing. Closing is a phone call close. Before that close, there is no rule for that in any world, but we know when we close the call. In Korea, something like thank you, 감사합니다, something like that. That is a pre-closing signal. I don't know the Japan exactly, but maybe something very similar for that. Yeah. And you should understand the characteristics of spoken dialogues. Yes. In a phone call, users want natural and continuous conversation, right? For making natural conversation, you should understand time constraints. Yeah. Maybe you can see the picture in here, a vertical timeline. There is overlap and balanced, and silence. Yeah. It means that when you are talking with your friend, let's think about it. When you are talking, your friends are talking together in the real time, and we call it overlap. And the balance is something like you ask, and there is no overlap, and he answers to you. And there is a silence in a phone call. It's a quite important key factor of the these systems. So you conversation can overlap with each other, and tone location should be handled naturally in this context. And balancing the length of an utterance is fundamental in spoken dialogue. Spoken products should be written considering the length of utterance. And finally, silence is very important. It is not important in AI speaker because there is always a silence if you are not saying to the AI speaker. But on the phone, maybe you can think about it with your friends calling. If there is a silence, it is a problem, right? Yes. There is something wrong in the conversation. So you should take it as a very important factor in this program, in this product. So now let's go into further conversational design framework. Yes. There are 4 key factors in our framework: tone, sequence, activity, and task. Tone is the unit of conversation, and the task is biggest one of that. So I'm giving you 15 seconds for read this script. Yes. It is a reservation task, reservation making task. It's a one task. In here, 3 activities in here. Yes, opening and scheduling and confirmation is activity. Maybe you can understand what is activity, right? And each activity has a sequence for that. Opening and confirmation is just one sequence, but scheduling have 2 sequences in here, right? And 8 turns in here. You understand? Yes. And I'm going to tell you about the sequence expansion. Yes. Maybe you understand sequence, right? It is very brief of the sequence. When you have a question to the AI agent, you ask something like, maybe is there any baby chair or something like that? And AI core will answer for you, right? If the AI core's answer meets your expectation, information expectation, there's no problem. But it does not happen in the real situation. AI agent always give more information or less information in here. So in here, you have a question for that. If there is more information, you have a question, right? What is that? And something like that. And if expectation, their answer is less than your expectation, you have also a question for that. We call it sequence expansion. Yes. This is an example of sequence expansion. Definition request is something like that. Maybe you can read this one. I'm going with my parents and can you recommend something? And restaurant says their recommendation is tenderloin steak and tumba pasta and something like that. Yes, it's just one sequence. But in here, do you know what is tenderloin steak and tumba pasta? I don't know. So user should ask, what is tumba pasta? Something like that. It is a definition request. And the partial request is something like that. Yes, how can I get there? Somebody asks to the restaurant. And the restaurant says, you can find the store 10 minutes walk distance from the subway station. It is a very user thing when you are calling with the restaurant. He answers, but you didn't understand why there is a recognition problems here. So you ask, from where? Yes, it's a partial repeat. So I'm going to tell you about activities. Yes. Activity is a subset of a task and consists of a sequence for completing one explicit action. There is an example of the activities: opening, scheduling, availability check, confirmation, closing, and something like that. It is actually like a module in the system, and it can be customized for each task, right? So we put it very graphically, activities in a task. Yes. Guess it, you are called to the restaurant, and the green dot is passed through activities, and the black dot is we set for your conversation, but user did not go here. And the pink dot is a multi-entry, maybe activity 0. That is maybe opening, and activity 7 is maybe confirmation or closing or something like that. Yes. most of all, I would like to say in this UX session is this is very important thing in making a core. There's no failure in conversation. If it is AI speaker, it can be fair because I would like to hear BTS song, but it does not recognize your request and something wrong. But in the core, but on the phone, as I said, building a conversation is very important for that. There's no failure. Just asking again and make a conclusion for your request. It is very important thing. So now let's get into the AI technology on telephony. Yeah, this is a very typical architecture of the AI speaker. Maybe you are familiar with that, right? When users make some request for that, it is a voice, right? A voice, and it is going to your AI speaker and passed through the server's gateway in a stream, right? And gateway passed over to the speech recognizer, and speech recognizer make it to the text, and the text in the DM and NLU system catch the intent from that intent, and they will decide how to answer for that and make a text for that, and the synthesizer make it to the stream, and the user can hear system voice. It's a very typical architecture. When it is going to the phone, just speaker is changed to the phone, right? But there is some change in here. Yes. From phone to gateway, there is a full duplex. It is a very common word in telephony. Duplex is just like there is a sending part and receiving part stream, and in real time, it's just a full duplex. But after this change, some more technology we should develop for that. For example, I will tell you about the buzzing. Maybe you remember this picture, right? Yes, there is overlap. I am focusing on the overlap. When users are saying, when systems are saying there will be overlap, right? And the user asks, and system is answering to you, something voice are going on, and the user interrupt here. What system can do for that? System should be stopped at the moment of the user saying, or volume down for that. We call it as a function of buzzing. How to make this one is something like this. So we need this conversation controller. In addition to buzzing, I think that other things can be put in here so that we can deal with the interactive traits we talked about earlier. And speech recognition also changed for that. Recently, VoIP is more than 24K, and sound quality is really, really good. However, the telephone network is 8K standard because landline still has 8K line, and network is connected everywhere, and we cannot control that. So we had to make a new speech recognizer for that. Also, speech synthesizer has also improved. We focused tone of speaker and AI speaker, it means AI speaker, and found natural tone is needed for telephone. Yes, there is a voice actor tone, but it does not work well on the phone. So we should make a persona of voice. This shows a character of voice. We call it persona, right? Is she or he talkative? What about speed of talking and overlap and the volume? Yes. Decision of persona is very important for that. And we developed a brand new model for this project. Contextual hint is a way to predict the conversation and increase the recognition rate. Multitone is inevitable in conversation. Maybe I can explain next slide. And I explain the movements between the tasks, activities. Maybe you understand right? And the buzzing already I explained. So I tell you about the multitone. Yes. Let's talk about the multitone NLU. Yeah, to understand multitones, you need to know about the singleton first. When I explain in the framework, you got to know what is tone. Singleton is just command and control pattern that I have mentioned. Multitone means we understand context of the conversation. Yes. This number shows the difference between singleton and multitone performance in our project. Yes. 2 weeks ago, our team has a problem with API. Yes, it's just something like storing kanji to database. It is a kanji name for that. We have a very severe situation for that, so I just divide and conquer and investigate NLU. So I would like to know the performance of NLU and make this code for NLU. Yeah, maybe you see the code right. In here, there is parameter for utterance and history. Yes, utterance is input word from you, and the history means the context, just context history of you are talking with. This is a singleton code for that. Just 4,000 name I put in here and test for NLU, and the multitone in here. Maybe you can see the script, just a history of the reservation make, and finally ask the name for that. Yes. And it is just print in here, error print in here. Maybe you can see the code in here, print failure, length, and yes. Yes, this is the result for that. 1,138 errors in singleton NLU, and just 18 errors in multitone NLU. Yes. It is 72% versus 99%. Yes. Inside the team, it was the first opportunity to see the performance of multitone NLU. It was a very historic moment. Thanks to the API problem. It just happened 2 weeks ago. Yes. Let's get into the engineering issue. Let's listen to our engineer.
The first step was to create non-blocking middleware that delivered streaming data from the call to each module without delay. The call went through, but sounded like a machine. So our team designed the flow of conversation using a graph to make it sound a bit more natural. And we developed an interface that transfers the graph directly to the system. At the same time, we repeatedly conducted user studies on each prototype and used the result to refine and modify the system. We attempted to bridge the gap between system and design. In the end, AI core sounds more human.
Yes. Before building a system, first you have to serve the telephone network. You can arrange a spec with the local carriers and progress with the internet phone providers such as Twilio and Nexmo. To do that, you need to have understand of the telephone network. We had to prepare existing legacy communication networks such as PSTN, VoIP, and the latest WebSockets. The customer has a great variety of communication network. Latency of system was much more sensitive than AI speakers. It is real-time duplex stream and asynchronous approach was there. GPU optimization, network and stream optimization was also there. And I would like to focus on is we were using mid result. Yes. Speaker recognizer give us final result after utterance and point. Before final result, recognizer give us mid result. So we used this result so that we can use their result before user finish saying. And why UX engineering is important? There are very big difference between design and engineering. Design path is not really what users really say. Understand the efficient way of improvement. Yes, maybe you can see this activities, maybe it's a task. Maybe you understand, right? We designed this one as just 4 activities for that. But we encountered another problem at activity 10, rescheduling. In the real path, we should put schedule on that. Yes, it's a real path. Yes, we should face the real problem. Task jump is real. As I said, there is a movement between the tasks, right? Maybe now you can understand. Yes. Conversations are not without borders. We think humans are very logical, but in the real, human is not logical. Their task jump is very often occurs. Maybe you can see the example, right? When after task jump, there is a problem always. We designed something like that, but in the reality, it does not match for that. So I should make redesign both system and conversation for improvements. Yes. DM is a dialogue management, and it's like a traffic light. I built interface between UX designer and UX engineers. Their graph is quite different. When you are work with the UX designer, they build a graph of how to make a reservation. And the system engineer's graph is quite different from the designer. So I made interface for that. Yes. And then DM can be a quick prototyping tool. It's an example of the slot filling. Slot filling is when you make a reservation, there will be needed for some when, how many people, something like that is a slot, and how to fill the slot. And this shows a graph. Now I am going to tell you about lessons learned and more with our PhD, 이상우.
What would human-like AI dialogue system be like? I think it is the system should be able to talk in a natural tone and manner, and also should be able to talk accurately, quickly, and appropriately. To build the dialogue agent which can talk naturally, we first try to find the rule of the phone call conversation. By doing this, we expect our AI agent can handle a variety of questions fluently. On the other hand, to increase the accuracy of AI agent system, we try to develop the technique which extracts natural language information from massive free-domain conversation data. Based on this effort, we try our best to show our AI call dialogue system that allows the user to communicate with ease.
Yes, it was the end of my presentation, and from opening, I tell you about. So many people asked me if it is possible or not. So I'm going to tell you about. From today, it is launched in Japan. Thank you for listening my presentation very much.